the summer of 2020, and you know what that means. Time for another road trip. So I left my home in New Jersey and I went down to Boone, North Carolina, where I picked up this guy, my traveling companion. And together we ventured down into the COVID wastelands, and we came back and lived to tell the tale. Join us on our adventures and see what we did. This is Truck Stop Road Trip 2020. I am your host, JJJinks. Part 1, Knives and Stuff. So I've been back from my road trip for a while. I have a ton of footage I need to work up and get into videos, but first I wanted to go through my haul of all the knives that I bought along the way. We'll start with a gas station that I stopped in North Carolina, a Love's. And so I saw this knife in a bin, and it said, so, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I'll figure it out later. It didn't really occur to me at the time that maybe it's supposed to be 005, but then it's sort of like upside down because I would expect it to be right side up this way. I don't know, but for $8, you don't get very much for your money. So what we're looking at is a lockback knife that has wood scales, the emblazoned so, or 005, I mean, whatever. It's got some steel liners, and it's pinned with what appears to be brass rivets, and it is made in China, and it is mystery stainless steel. The fit and finish is obviously very, very rough. Down by where it says stainless China, you can see a lot of marks and things and some brown goo. The rivets are a bit rough, and it's just not a very high quality knife, but it is a truck stop knife, or a Love's knife at least, and they give you this little strip of some kind of material. I guess it's leather. I don't know. It looks fake to me. It's super thin and it's got layers, and it's also shiny on one side, so I don't think it's real leather. But what I do think is real is how fortunate I was to find another one at the same gas station, only this time it's the same piece of wood, but it's kind of inserted into this little rectangular slot. And you get basically the same knife, but in a metal body. And you got a matching wood slot on the other side. And for some reason, the lanyard on this one is probably real rawhide. It looks a lot more real to me. It's strange that they would mix their materials for the lanyard. Looking at the blade on this one, if we do a quick comparison, the one on the bottom has a much less sharp blade, and you can also see the tool marks are still there from the grinding. It's a very poor finish. It's a little banged up, a little scratched up. It's probably been picked up and dropped into the bin a couple of times by people who were wiser than me and chose not to buy this piece. But there we go. The Love's 005 So lockbacks. But there was another one in that bin, a very nondescript looking piece, different kind of wood, also very rough fit and finish. If you have a look at the liners on the back side, you can see there's some gaps and just kind of rough cut metal. Honestly, I think the scales on this thing are the nicest thing about it, and what you have is a slip joint hawkbill blade, which is not very sharp, but at least there are no tool marks from the grinding. There's no markings to indicate where this was made or what it is made from, but I think we can all guess. Oh God, that makes me nervous. It's so hard to close it, and I don't want to like cut my fingers off. I was happy to see some knives I haven't seen before in a Love's truck stop. And now I own them all, or so I think. I couldn't really find any information about what this is, so if any of you know out there, let me know. Is that like a race car driver number or something? Next up, when I was in North Carolina, I was in the Boone area, and we went to a local Walmart, specifically so that I could look for OZARK trail knives that I haven't found before, and I could add it to my collection. And I spotted this one. It's a traditional folder slip joint with what looks like a penknife and then a normal kind of blade. It's got a stag finish, most likely imitation. There's a little cutout so you can feel for yourself. I like the background on these. It's like a nice field with a forest. You get 2 blades, 2.5 inch, 1 3/4 inch, and then 3.5 inch stag finish handle. So they're not claiming it's synthetic, but I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Let's get this thing open. I know what you're thinking. JJJinks, a real knife? For shame. And we got the knife condom. Okay, so we get a clip point blade. Pretty shiny. It's got the OZARK Trail logo down there. Kind of rough. Oh, it's actually very easy to open and close. I know there's a whole lot of terminology about slip joints. There's like words for how easy it is to open and close and the snap when it shuts, and I don't really remember it all. But I could say that I abhor thumb nicks, and it just rips my nails open, but this is actually pretty easy on me. The grind feels a little bit rough, but it's probably sharp enough for most everyday tasks. Ooh, that made a cool sound. Let's hear that again. Fit and finish isn't that bad, actually. I'm looking for gaps. I don't really see very many gaps. No rust. I mean, these are things that you wouldn't expect out of a good knife, but this is an OZARK Trail knife that was $4 and change at this point. So a neat little stag finish knife. Leaving North Carolina, I stopped at a Sportsman's Warehouse, which was located right next to that giant peach water tower thing that I forgot what it's called. And we picked up a couple of things. First of all, I got some grenades. And I told my buddy that I was traveling with that if I spotted a knife on this road trip, I would get it. But he bought it for me as a belated birthday gift, and that was this one. I have been wanting to get my hands on a CRKT Minimalist for quite a while. They had it, so I have one now. Now, the Minimalist has a Kydex sheath, which fits it quite well. And you get this little itty blade, and I was expecting the hand feel to be pretty good just because it kind of looks like that's what it's all about. And it's true, it fits my hand pretty well. My fingers go right into the grooves. This little rat tail at the end I don't really care for, but I'm going to leave it there just to keep the knife complete. The jimping is in a good place and it's not too aggressive. It's a nice little knife, really feels like an extension of your hand. Good job, CRKT. Now, they also make these with that cleaver version and a Wharncliffe version. I probably would have preferred the Wharncliffe version if I saw the two of them in the case, but it was just this one. And I said, you know what, that's good enough. I don't mind. I am not sad about this purchase. This knife is pretty neat. And if you don't want to wear it around your neck, which it has a generous amount of cord for that, and one of these movable things so you can choke yourself, you can just take all this out and put on the accessory that it came with. It's a belt loop. So you screw it into the sheath and then you can put it onto your belt loop, which was pretty thoughtful. I'm glad that they decided to include this in the package. And on the way out, I spotted these grenade things and I was like, we've got to get these. And we totally forgot to try them ourselves. So I will do it for you right now. These are explosively strong gums. Blast Factor 6 for the Wild Spearmint. Blast Factor 9 for the Grape Bomb. They were $1 a piece. They come with 5. Chew at your own risk. It's manufactured in Honolulu. Wait. No, it's not. Manufactured for some company in Honolulu. It's made in Taiwan. Oh, and it comes in a resealable bag too, so that's nice. I'll take one of them out, and here's the grenade. Well, it's a little green ball. I am so curious. What does it look like on the inside? Thank you, CRKT. Oh, I can smell it. Wow. It smells strong. We got some kind of a jelly-like white stuff on the inside. All right. So that's what that looks like. Let's try it. Whoa. I gotta admit, it's like an Altoid. Like, if you were to get... Holy crap. Woo! If you were to take, like, 5 Altoids and just chomp down on them all at once... That's what that sensation's like. Wow. Whoa. They weren't kidding about that. Alright. I've got peppermint in, like, my nose, down my throat. It is everywhere, but I'm gonna mix it with the grape bomb. That was only a blast factor 6. This is a 9. Well, out of the frying pan. Well, oh, ew. Oh, no. Oh. Oh. Okay, that was a mistake. Problem wasn't that it exploded in my mouth. I actually didn't taste very much of it at all. I think because I already had this one. But when the grape and the spearmint combined, it tasted like cough syrup, and my brain immediately, like, activated my gag reflex. Oh, fuck. Oh, I'm never doing that again. And then, somewhere in South Carolina, we stopped at a Marathon gas station that boasted a travel center, which, those can be fun. They can have lots of stuff, and it did. It had those, like, keychains with the LED initials that blink on and off. All kinds of stuff. I got this. This is a Victorinox SD Classic ripoff, and it had, you know, a whole bunch of... Oh, that's not South Carolina. I was in Georgia at the time. Whoops. Anyway, it had, like, names and letters, and so I got a J for JJJinks. It's quite handsome, actually. Nicely polished, shiny wood. I like it. And you got your pen blade. Now, this is not Victorinox, or else it would say that on it. It would have the symbol, I'm sure. It's got a file on the same side as the pen knife, too. And on the other side, you got the scissors. Georgia. And in the same place, I found a display with knives in it. And I got this one. It was like $15, but it was pretty unique as far as I know. There's like a couple of generic zombie patterns that you see out there, but I hadn't seen this one before. It's quite terrifying. It's you know, it's right out of The Walking Dead. These faces are terrifying, and so I was immediately drawn to it just because of that. And it has a Spidey hole as well. Deep carry pocket clip. Oh, that's pretty tight. And then it's assisted open with a flipper tab. And check out this blade, folks. It is a sort of cleaver. Haven't seen this shape before. It says Z Hunter on it with the biohazard symbol. Kind of roughly cut swedge right here. And then on the other side of the blade, it says ZB088 stainless steel custom design, hand forged in China. It's actually pretty comfortable, even though it's bloody huge. My thumb doesn't even make it out to the jimping here, but with this very generous sharpening choil, you could probably hold it like this, but my finger gets so close to that cutting edge, I don't feel comfortable doing it. But the handle all the way down here is pretty comfortable. I don't think I would use this practically, though, just because the blade is so far away from where my hand is. It just doesn't feel right. It's not a bad job, though. The centering looks pretty good, and the liner lock goes right to the correct spot that I would want it to. Let's try to open it with the hole. Not really. Yeah, takes a little practice. It can be done. And the hole is actually chamfered, too. This is good fit and finish, I say. This will be good for Halloween. And making our way down I-75 in Georgia, we stopped at the Bigfoot Welcome Center, which I'll provide the footage for that later, but I bought this. It is a football. Remember football? Which has a deep riding pocket clip on the back, and it's pretty thick because it's got 2 blades in there. Check this out. Yeah, it's a football with bat wings. Oh, I didn't even notice it has this symbol. What is that, DS? With a sword and a shield. I don't know what that is. I'll have to look that up. Presumably, it's the company that made this thing. They didn't have other sports. I was like, oh, I should get the whole set, like baseball and a soccer ball and maybe a hockey puck. But no, they had a bunch of like trash truck stop knives and then a football. So I just had to get it. Kind of get nervous about opening both blades because you open the first one, then what? You got to turn it around and have the blade precariously close to your wrist, right by the vein. And then you can actuate the second one. And then after I got the knife, it was in the display stand opened, and the guy at the counter was like, oh, 2 for 1. Bigfoot humor. And somewhere in northern Florida, we found another Love's station. Stopped there to take a break, and I bought a couple of guns. Yeah, this merchandise started popping up in the Love's stations. I've seen them a couple of times, never bought them, and I figured, well, maybe now is the time. They both say, I don't dial 911. In which case, I guess the South is going to start voting for Joe Biden because he's going to abolish police departments, right? They should be all over this. Well, this one's a solid steel piece, and it's got a cap lifter bottle opener thing on it for your keychain. Cancer and reproductive harm. This one's different. It's a combination laser pointer and flashlight. Whoa, that's a bright light, actually. Check that out. So you can drive your cats crazy, and you can find stuff under your couch, but whatever you do, don't dial 911. But unlike the other one, this one is not made out of steel. It is all plastic. The Love's guns. And finally, we get down to Florida, where I stopped in at another local Walmart, and I picked up a couple of cool things. Number one, another knife that I said if I spotted, I would buy it. I wanted to see what all the hype was about for this. The CRKT M16. This is the 01KS. I see it a lot on Reddit. People who like these get a lot of them. They're not expensive, and people swear by them, but there are other people who think they're trash. And so I wanted to get one to see what the hype was all about, and I kind of see it. I also see what people complain about as well. So I don't want to do like a super in-depth review, but just kind of point out the obvious things. Number one, this knife is skeletonized as hell. Look at all these holes. Now these 3 are so that you can move the pocket clip from one side to the other. Your pivot screw is a knurled Phillips head screw. They've even got a little hole in the flipper tab. And ironically, with all these holes, there's not really a good place to put a lanyard. So if you're a lanyard person, sorry, there's no place for it. The blade kind of comes into contact with all the holes, and the flipper tab has to move through the inside. Whatever. Couple of things to point out. It's got a low ride pocket clip, but that's okay. I've put this in my pocket a few times and it went in just fine. Came out just fine. And just like with the Kershaw Leak and Scallion and that whole series where there's no blade stop pin, it's the actual thumb stud that goes into this little nestled area to stop the blade from, this kind of has the same thing. You got your thumb studs on track to go into this little nestled area, as it does. One difference between this knife and the Kershaw Leak that I have is this is actually not open assisted. It's just a really nice, smooth opening. And when you put enough pressure down on the tab to kind of give it the momentum to come out, it shoots right out. That's nice. Sometimes the deployment fails when, it's hard to explain. You just kind of don't give it enough momentum through the flipper tab but it can be done. And I haven't put any grease or anything on this thing. So that's nice. It was actually a pretty surprisingly decent little knife. And one of the complaints that I see a lot is when you close the frame lock, it's kind of hard to get your thumb in there to move it over because it's flush with the other side of the frame. And I totally get that. If they were to shave down this side a little bit more, it would be easier to catch it and move it over. You know what I mean? Because it's flush. I haven't really had much of a problem with doing that personally, but if that's a thing that annoys you, you know, everyone's got their preferences, then maybe the CRKT M16 wouldn't be for you. But for 20 bucks, damn, it's a nice knife. Last, but the one I'm most excited about, I spotted this knife in the glass cabinet, and it was the only one left. It is an OZARK trail knife that I don't have, or at least I wasn't sure. This says assisted opening knife, and it's got this blue and black handle material. I have a knife similar to this one, but it came in a big package. So then I spotted this one, and I was like, is it the same thing, just in a box? I don't know. But it turns out it is different. This is unique. I've never seen this before. It's very similar to the bigger one that I pointed out. Now, it opens the same exact way. You have this thing that you push in, and after it hides in there, the blade snaps out. It's a pretty snappy opening, and then you use the liner lock, and as you close it, the little tab comes back out. You see how it's loose in there? So while it's open, it's locked into place, so don't have to worry about that rattling. I was just super excited to have something different and new from OZARK Trail that I haven't seen before, and the fact that it was the last one and the box was torn up a little bit. It's got a 17 on it. I gotta figure out what that means. And it was a little bit more expensive. I think it was like $14 or something like that, but worth every penny to me. And there you have it, everybody. That is those are all the knives and strange little things that I found in the truck stops and, well, Walmarts that I stopped at along the way. Hope you enjoyed this video. There's going to be many more chronicling my adventures down to Florida.